I never expected the stars to notice me. I was just another technician on Lunar Relay Station 12, low rank, low clearance, low expectations. My job was simple: maintain communication arrays between Earth and the outer colonies. No glory, no danger, no destiny, until the sky opened. It began as a distortion in space, like heat rising from asphalt, but stretched across the void above the moon. Every satellite camera caught it. Every radar system failed to explain it. The distortion widened, folded inward, and from that impossible seam emerged a structure so vast it eclipsed half the stars behind it. It was not a ship. It was a kingdom. Metallic spires curved like blades of light. Massive rings orbited a glowing central core. Entire ecosystems shimmered beneath translucent domes. It looked less like machinery and more like a celestial palace torn from the imagination of a god. Humanity panicked. Military fleets mobilized. Politicians argued. Scientists wept with equal parts terror and awe. Then the message came. Not in radio waves. Not in code. It appeared in every mind. A single voice, clear, regal, and infinitely powerful. Send your chosen. The Queen summons him. Him. That word echoed through every translation. Within hours, Earth's governments scrambled to interpret it. Who was him? A diplomat? A general? A scientist? They scanned for anomalies. And somehow, against all logic, every algorithm, every predictive model, every probabilistic simulation pointed to one person. Me. The selection. I was arrested gently. That's the only way to describe it. Armed soldiers escorted me from Lunar Relay 12 as if I were both prisoner and priceless artifact. I kept insisting there had been a mistake. I fix antennas, I told them. I don't negotiate with alien royalty. But the data was undeniable. The alien structure had emitted a focused beam toward my exact coordinates before sending the message. It wasn't random. It was intentional. Earth's leaders gave me a crash course in diplomacy during the 6-hour shuttle ride to the orbital summit vessel. I barely absorbed any of it. My thoughts kept returning to one impossible question. Why me? When we approached the alien megastructure, my breath caught. Up close, it dwarfed comprehension. Entire continents could fit within its inner rings. Streams of light flowed like rivers across its surface. It hummed, not audibly, but in my bones. A bridge of solid starlight extended from the structure to our shuttle. An invitation. You don't have to do this, one general whispered. But I did. If humanity refused, what message would that send? I stepped onto the bridge. The moment my boots touched it, gravity shifted. The shuttle disappeared behind me, swallowed by brilliance. I walked alone into alien radiance. The throne of stars. The interior defied physics. The corridor stretched infinitely, and yet delivered me within seconds to a chamber so vast that galaxies could have formed inside it. The floor shimmered like liquid diamond. Above, constellations swirled in patterns I did not recognize. At the far end stood a throne forged from what looked like condensed starlight. And upon it, the Queen. She was tall, taller than any human. Her form was vaguely humanoid but refined beyond evolution. Skin like polished obsidian veined with light. Silver-white hair that floated as if underwater. Eyes that contained nebulae. Power radiated from her, pressing against my chest like gravity. Around the chamber stood countless beings. Alien nobles, generals, advisors. All bowed. All except me. Not because I was brave. Because I couldn't move. Her gaze locked onto mine. For a moment, the universe held its breath. Then she spoke, not in my mind this time, but aloud. Her voice resonated like a choir of stars. You stand. It wasn't a question. Yes, I managed. A ripple moved through the chamber. Shock. Disapproval? You do not kneel, she continued. Something in me steadied. Should I? The silence deepened. I realized, too late, that I might have just insulted the most powerful being in existence. Instead, a faint curve touched her lips. Interesting, the courtiers murmured. You are aware, she said, rising from her throne, that entire civilizations prostrate themselves before me. I figured, I replied, but I wasn't summoned to worship. I was summoned for a reason. Gasps echoed. The queen descended the steps toward me. Each footstep caused faint flares of light beneath her feet. You speak without trembling. I am trembling. She studied me, eyes narrowing slightly. Yes, she said softly. You are. And then she smiled. The princess. A gesture from her hand shifted the chamber's light. Another figure emerged from behind the throne. The princess. If the queen was a supernova, the princess was dawn. She appeared younger, though still ageless. Her features carried the same luminous elegance, but softer. Curious rather than commanding. Her eyes were violet, bright and searching. She did not bow. She stared at me. This, the queen announced to the assembly, is the human. The princess tilted her head. He is smaller than expected. I coughed. We get that a lot. Again, that ripple of alien reaction. The queen's gaze remained fixed on me. My daughter must choose a consort. The words hit me like vacuum exposure. A what? A partner, she clarified. One worthy of standing beside her in governance of the stellar dominion. I blinked. And you picked Earth. I picked you. The princess stepped closer, examining me as though I were an unusual artifact. You are fragile, she observed. Biologically speaking? Yes. You lack psionic resonance. Correct. You command no fleets. Nope. The chamber buzzed with faint amusement, or disbelief. She looked back to her mother. Why? The queen's eyes never left mine. Because, she said quietly, when the Dominion's gaze swept across 1,000 worlds, only one mind did not collapse beneath it. My breath caught. You felt it, she said to me. I remembered that moment on Lunar Relay 12, the sudden pressure like an ocean pressing into my skull. The technicians around me had screamed. Some had fainted. I had stayed conscious. Barely. I thought it was a migraine, I muttered. It was my test. The princess's expression shifted, curiosity deepening. He endured your presence? He did. Silence filled the throne room. Then the queen spoke the words that would shatter my old life forever. I choose him for you. Resistance, the princess's eyes widened. You did not consult me. I am consulting you now. The chamber stiffened. Political tension vibrated in the air. The princess turned back to me. She walked in a slow circle, studying every detail. You understand what this means? She asked. Not even slightly. A faint smile touched her lips. If you accept, you will never return to your world as you were. You will be altered, enhanced, to survive among us. You will bind yourself to our lineage. Your species will be forever connected to mine. Earth. My family. My quiet, predictable life. Do I have a choice? I asked the queen. Her gaze was steady. Yes. The entire chamber seemed shocked by that answer. You may refuse, she continued. You may return to your world. We will depart. Your species will continue, unharmed, unnoticed. A test within a test. If I agreed for power, for glory, for fear, I would fail. I looked at the princess. What do you want? I asked her. Another murmur swept through the chamber. Clearly, no one asked royalty what they wanted. She hesitated. I want, her voice softened, to understand why your mind did not break. I laughed softly. Trust me, it almost did. But it did not. No, I admitted. It didn't. Why? I thought about Earth, about humanity's long history of surviving disasters, wars, plagues, cosmic indifference. Because we're used to feeling small, I said. The universe has never been gentle with us. We look at the stars and know they don't care. So when something vast stares back, we endure. The princess was silent. The queen's expression became unreadable. Finally, the princess stepped closer, so close I could see faint constellations swirling in her irises. Then stay, she said quietly. Not because you were chosen, but because you choose. And that was the moment I decided. I'll stay. Transformation, the process, was not painful. It was expansive. They brought me to a chamber filled with liquid light. The queen herself oversaw it. The princess stood beside her. This will harmonize your biology with ours, the queen explained. You will retain your humanity, but you will gain durability, extended lifespan, and limited resonance. Limited? I asked weakly. The princess smirked. Enough not to faint when mother enters a room. Comforting. I stepped into the light. It felt like falling into warm gravity. My cells vibrated. My thoughts expanded. I could sense faintly the emotional currents of those around me. The hum of the megastructure became music. When I emerged, I felt larger. Not physically, but internally. The princess approached. She extended her hand. I took it. A spark passed between us. Not electricity, but recognition. The queen watched carefully. He remains himself, she observed. Mostly, I said, noticing I could now see subtle energy patterns around her. The princess smiled. Good. The challenge, not everyone approved. Several Dominion houses objected to a human consort. Whispers of weakness, of delusion. One warlord, towering and crimson-skinned, stepped forward during the formal declaration ceremony. This creature cannot defend the princess, he growled. He has no honor scars. No campaigns. The chamber waited. Old me would have shrunk. New me stepped forward. You're right, I said. I have no honor scars. My species tends to call them trauma. A few alien courtiers made unfamiliar sounds. Laughter? I don't claim to be your strongest warrior, I continued. But strength isn't always what preserves a civilization. The warlord narrowed his eyes. And what does? Resilience. Adaptation. The ability to face something bigger than you and refuse to vanish. Silence. The queen spoke. Enough. The choice stands. The warlord bowed, reluctantly. Challenge ended. For now. The ceremony was unlike any human wedding. Stars were drawn closer to form a luminous canopy. Entire fleets aligned in silent orbit. The princess stood beside me in garments woven from stellar filaments. You may still fear, she whispered. Constantly. Good, she said. Fear means you understand the scale. The queen raised her hands. Before the Dominion, before the stars, this human stands not as subject, but as equal to my daughter. Equal. The word echoed. I felt Earth far away, but not lost. When the binding energy encircled our joined hands, I understood something profound. This wasn't about romance. Not yet. It was about alliance. Trust. A bridge between fragile humanity and ancient power. A new dawn. Months passed. I learned their history, their science, their philosophy. The princess, her name translated loosely to Lyra, learned about Earth. She was fascinated by our art, our music, our stubborn hope. One day, as we stood overlooking a spiral galaxy from the palace balcony, she asked, "Do you regret staying?" I considered it. "I miss home," I admitted. "But I don't regret choosing." She nodded. "My mother says you changed the Dominion."
How?
By refusing to kneel. I looked at her. I wasn't trying to make a statement. Precisely. Below us, fleets prepared for peaceful exploration of new sectors, this time with humanity as partners, not subjects. Earth had been informed. Carefully, gradually. They were terrified. They were proud. They were ready. Lyra intertwined her fingers with mine. "You were small," she said softly, "but you stood." "And you?" I asked. She smiled faintly. "I was powerful, but I had never chosen." Above us, the stars burned brighter. Not because they had changed, but because we had. And somewhere on a small blue world, humanity looked up at the night sky, unaware that one of their own now stood among the constellations, not as conqueror, not as servant, but as something entirely new. A bridge between worlds, summoned to the throne of stars, chosen, and at last choosing back.